And we're going to do the old Jerry's thing, okay? Come on, let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is the back of the head of the great Rick Granati that you saw moments ago. He's always thinking music, and that's why we have gathered here tonight. It is the legend that is Spike Miller, my cousin Rick Michaels, Coom. We go way back, folks. Way back. And of course, Frankie Eli, you know him, the son of the legend. Rocco Eli, his lovely mother Nancy. He is the man behind Hollywood Gardens, of course, Brixton Brewery. His father started it in 1958, and we're in the roots of Rochester. May 5 is when the curtain comes up on this new establishment. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, before we talk about the rock legends, and the reason Spike is here, no one knew Jerry Reed, Bruce Reed, Candy Reed, Donna Reed, her, of course, late husband, better than this guy in Jerry Records, and Donnie Garvin. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Jeff Lynne and ELO, a very different style of music, Rick. 13 years, 50 million records, and they are enshrined into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame there too. Joan Baez, I told this story earlier with Scott Tatey over at the Beaver Allegheny County Times. Granddaughter had no idea who she was. She got her backstage with Taylor Swift and got a selfie. Her granddaughter thinks she rocks now. She sold over 50 million records, you know, drove Old Dixie down, Diamonds and Rust. She's done so much. She's played with Dylan, the Stones. I mean, she is the Allman Brothers, a reason she's going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They don't come much better.
Why not Woodstock?
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, Journey, Steve Perry at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yes, but no, he's not going on the road. But they've been around for a long time, and they have sold close to 50 million records. Talk Journey, maybe one of the greatest rock stylists anywhere, Steve Perry.
Great, yeah. Everybody sings along with those songs, or tries to anyway. But yeah, what a great band. American, you know, legendary band.
All right, up next it is Pearl Jam, Eddie Vedder, 1991. They have sold about 60 million records. They've been touring ever since. Of course, grunge rock. You think of Nirvana and those bands as well out of Seattle, Washington. Eddie Vedder's Pearl Jam.
Grunge.
Hey, here's one for you. Rick Wakefield and Yes.
Cool.
Going in, obviously, John Anderson, 1968. And they, a couple of albums, Fragile being one and Close to the Edge being the other. And they have just been an orchestrative kind of rock band, pre-ELO, if you will, and very famous as far as their acoustics and keyboards.
Believe it or not, we worked with their engineer, Eddie Offord. But in the early days of Yes, when they first came out, they played at Gannon College. The famous Rich Angler had a band with my brother Herm called. They opened up for Yes.
What was that band again?
That was the name of the band.
You're not just whistling, are you?
That's the name of the band.
Spell it.
And P-H-
Long man.
P-H-E-W-P-H-T-T something. But Rich Angler was a glam rock band, but they opened up for Yes, and we got to see them at Gannon College. Friggin' phenomenal, that's all I can say. Great band.
And also Tupac Shakur, a legend in the world of music, especially the start of what we now know as rap music. Kind of pre-NWA, of course, Ice Cube, Dr. Dre, and then him. And then you think of Biggie Smalls, Snoop Dogg, and everything that's come since, Kanye West, and all of these people really owe a lot. Pitbull to Tupac Shakur, who was tragically gunned down many years ago, shortly after Biggie Smalls was shot and killed. Nile Rodgers, this guy, I think of Chic, and I think of disco, and I think of even Daft Punk today, and many others like Sam Smith. He has played with some of the biggest over the last 40 years, and he is one of the best guitarists ever. He has a riff that is probably similar to one of the great riffs that came out of Motown, that as soon as you heard it on a Supreme song, a Temptation song, you knew it was Motown. When you hear that certain riff that really started back with Chic in the 1970s, you know it's him. And
Nile Rodgers.
He's going to be recognized.
Yeah, well. You know what else is amazing? Don Garvin from New Brighton, part of Jerry's studio, the partner with Jerry, designed a board for Nile Rodgers.
Really?
Yeah, Don Garvin's a true rock and roll legend.
All right, listen, Frankie loves his vinyl, he loves his music, so just talk about some of those people that I just mentioned. What do you think?
Well, as far as the people you just mentioned, as far as who I have on vinyl at this
Right.
point in my life, I listen to Dr. Dre is somebody I just recently picked up.
Tremendous.
Know nothing about it other than I went into a Barnes & Noble and they have their little vinyl selection. As soon as you walk in, and I saw that and I said, I'm gonna look into that. So I didn't buy it then, but I came down here, did some work, put it on the Spotify thing, and really dug it. So I went back and bought it. No, I take that back. Brandy, my bartender, bought it for me so that we could have some fun listening to that. So Dr. Dre, ELO, big fan, always have been. So for a long time. And then Journey, I saw them in Escape Tour at the arena, and yeah, it was good times. Bring back some good memories back in the 80s.
Tommy James and the Shondells, 23 gold singles along with 9 gold and platinum albums, over 100 million records worldwide. Hanky Panky, Mony Mony, I Think We're Alone. They're going in, rock legends along with the Jaggers. And that night, Donnie Iris Jimmy Ross, back together again, one night only. Chuck Brinkman, Boss Jock, my hero from the 1960s, 70s. Spike remembers him well on KQV, WTAE, and still doing it down in Dallas, where he happens to own part of a station there. And Jerry Reed, I mean, so many groups, including this guy right here and his brothers recorded there. I've been talking about him for months, and now you get a chance to share some of your memories of Jerry Reed. Spike Miller, go ahead.
Jerry Reed, man. Jerry's curb service, he was the legend. In that little studio over there, you go over there, and the legends came through there. Wild Cherry, people that went to the top. And Jerry Reed was the most gentle, kindest person in the world. He would let some little scrungy little guy. He would take me in his home. He was my mentor before that word got popular.
I know, he did so much for so many people, and he was so far ahead of his time. He was multi-tracking, doing things long before this stuff was ever even thought of, right there on 3rd Avenue in New Brighton. And you guys saw the sun come up many times there, Rick.
Entrepreneur.
Jerry Curb
Jerry, he invented Jerry's Curb Service. And he had a recording studio in his house.
Basement.
In his basement in
His
Gravenhurst.
basement.
My brother Herm and I and a friend recorded there in 1965. We did Louie Louie and an original that Hermie wrote called Baby Turn Me On. So we go to the house. Candy says, my dad wants to record you guys. Come over Saturday. There's no piano. Candy calls Brighton Music Center. They bring a piano over. The rent was so high for the piano, Jerry bought it. And it was at the studio until not long ago. We recorded with Jerry. He went to Pittsburgh. He had a bunch of acetates made, real hard copies of the single, maybe 20. He gave them to us with Jerry label on it. We took him to school and played in school. It was like we were the Beatles. So he made us believe we could do it. He made everybody that hung out at Jerry's believe they could have a business, that they could succeed. He never said no to anybody, no matter what you said.
He was amazing.
Jerry's best expression, if you'd say anything, Jerry, what do you think of that song?
Yeah.
Hey,
And smoke.
all right, yeah, listen, before we go, you know, when I think of Spike, I think of my cousin Bruce Reed and John Langtow, these guys who were idols of mine.
We were the gang.
And that's the truth. But talk about my uncle Rick Bango and Jerry Reed. They were really connected at the hip.
Wow. Bimini, a little island 90 miles off of Miami. So what's Rick and Jerry Reed do? They invite all these 18-year-old kids, come over to Bimini. We're running around in shorts, no shirts. But to Jerry, it didn't matter what your age was. You know, come with us. I mean,
he could have taken the curb service and franchised it and been a multi-gazillionaire 10 times over, but he loved music, sacrificed it all, turned that over to his son, who just did some incredible stuff as a businessman, still doing it today. And I'm sure if there won't be in the next year or two, sooner or later there'll be a Brewster's on Bimini, I'm sure.
I wonder why there isn't one now.
It could happen. Remember where you heard it first. Anything before you say goodnight?
Jerry would be in the curb service. Spike will attest to it. He'd pack, we'd all hang out in there. He'd be in there flipping cheeseburgers. We'd say, hey, Jerry, hi. He'd go, hi. All night.
People wouldn't imagine how crowded. They had 2 traffic cops. People just to drive through. They didn't even stop and eat.
Great
Wonderful,
Clean
wonderful.
your car up and drive through there.
And my cousin Rick, of course, had, long before Jimmy K's, the Brighton Pit and Pub for over 20 years, which is unheard of. Maybe his family, but very few people can last in the bar business that long. And probably because of the 90s, I was spending most of my weeks there, so that's probably been able to retire very handsomely. Throw me a bone, will you?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it. From Roots of Rochester, good night.